In this video, we're going to be talking about how to attract new members to your church coming up. All right, so in this video, we're going to be talking about 3 lessons learned from Simon Sinek's viral video, Start With Why. Now, one of the traps that we can easily fall into as church leaders is that we tend to always look at other churches and only read church books. But in this video, we specifically want to talk about some business principles that we can learn from and how to apply them to the church to attract new members. All right, so lesson number 1, start with why. Now, what exactly do we mean by that? In 1903, the Wright brothers invented the first flying machine and altered the course of history forever. But there's a little-known man by the name of Samuel Pierpont Langley that nobody's ever heard of. Well, why have we never heard of Samuel Pierpont Langley? It's pretty simple. See, Samuel Pierpont Langley was given $50,000, right, in 1903, that's a ton of money, from the U.S. government in order to figure out this whole idea of a flying machine. So everybody was kind of racing to try to build it. It wasn't just the Wright brothers' idea. Lots of people thought that this was possible. And so the government gave Samuel Pierpont Langley $50,000 to go figure this out. So he was highly financed. He was able to hire the best scientists and engineers of the day, and he dove in. In fact, the New York Times followed him around everywhere that he went because everyone thought Samuel Pierpont Langley was going to make history and invent the first flying machine. See, the problem was he wasn't driven by purpose or belief. He just wanted to be rich and famous. He wanted to be the first person to create the first flying machine so he could get his name in the paper, he could become famous, and he could make a ton of money. On the other side of the spectrum, we have the Wright brothers, who were driven because they believed that mankind should take to the sky and learn how to fly. In fact, the U.S. government gave them $0, and the New York Times didn't even know they existed. They would use the proceeds from their bicycle shop to fund their passion project. They would often go out and they would take 5 sets of parts because they knew they were going to crash at least 5 times trying to figure out the flying machine. And eventually, on December 17th, 1903, the Wright brothers took flight for the very first time. And nobody was there to even know about it. In fact, we found out about it several days later. And we know that Samuel Pierpont Langley was driven by the wrong thing because on the day the Wright brothers took flight, he quit. Right? He didn't keep going. He didn't say, man, what you guys have created here is amazing, and I'm going to take my government funds and we're going to build on this technology. Instead, he wasn't first. He didn't become rich and famous, so he quit. See, people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. So if you want to attract new members to your church, you have to share your why. You have to share your purpose and your passion. And if you talk about what you believe, you'll actually attract people who believe what you believe. So if you believe that you're called to impact your city and completely change the way that ministry is done, you'll attract people that believe that same thing. But you have to go all in on your why. You have to communicate your vision to your community. So it doesn't matter if you have limited resources and if you're funding your church by yourself, just like the Wright brothers, because it's proof that just because you have a big budget and access to all the top talent doesn't mean you're going to win. The most important thing is to share your vision and you're going to attract the right people. All right, point number 2, inspired communication. Once you've found your why and you know what it is, now you need to communicate it. And this is the part that most people mess around with. So let's take a look at Apple, right? Why is it that Apple is so innovative year after year after year? Why is it that they had such a seamless transition from Steve Jobs to Tim Cook? Why is it that they're a tech company worth over $1 trillion? After all, they're a tech company. They make computers, right? They have access to the same talent pool that everybody else does, the same agencies, the same consultants. But why is it that Apple seems to have something different? So a few years ago, Simon Sinek found a pattern. He realized that the most magnetic leaders, the ones who attract new people to their vision, are doing something different. In fact, the way that they communicate is completely opposite than the way that everybody else communicates. He calls it the golden circle. So if you imagine 3 circles inside of each one, the outside circle is what, the inside circle is how, and the bullseye in the middle is why. Now, most churches, most companies, most organizations, they know what they do. And a few of them kind of know how they do it, but very few actually know why they do it. And so what happens is most organizations communicate from the outside in. They talk about what they're doing. They talk about their sermon series, or they talk about their women's event, or they talk about their ministries. But see, this doesn't have the type of communication that's going to inspire and attract people to you. So if Apple were like everybody else, a marketing message would probably sound something like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most companies and organizations and churches communicate. That's telling exactly what they do. We might even say how we're different, but we don't tell people why. We're communicating the what, but it's uninspiring. But here's how Apple actually communicates. In everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way that we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? See, totally different, right? It's the same marketing message, but they flipped it. It's backwards. They're starting with why. They didn't start with what, the computers. They started with why, their core values. In everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. This is the perfect definition of inspired communication. When you communicate your why, you draw people who think like you do to you. So people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So before I get to my last point, I want to know, what is your why? Post it in the comments below. I want to read every single one. I want to find out, why is it that you do what you do? And finally, number 3, ignore the competition, just focus on your why. All right, so this is one of the things, it's so easy to get caught up in competition. Stephen Furtick talks about, it's important not to compare your behind the scenes to other people's highlight reels. And the best way to do that is to stay on message, to stay on mission, and to focus on your why. For example, the reason that I got into this, the reason I'm making YouTube videos helping churches, is because I know that 7,755 people are going to die in the US every single day, and most of them don't have a relationship with Jesus. I could probably make a lot more money doing social media for dentists or chiropractors or big, huge companies. The problem is that doesn't keep me up at night. But I literally lay awake in bed at night dreaming about how can we use social media and technology to reach more people with the gospel. So for me, I don't worry about everybody else out there. I don't care if there's other people doing Facebook ads or competition. I have to stay in my lane, and I continue to help churches and make videos like this one to help you. So if you want to learn more about working with me or how I can help you and we can partner together, just click on the link below or go over to churchgrowthagency.com and check out the free video talking about how to use social media and technology to reach more people and grow your church.